Yes, sir. Here we go. It is here. It is time. It is the best time of the year. The dawn of a new NFL season. The dawn of a new Buffalo Bills season. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Talkin' Buds Bill Show. I am Rob Furnish. With me, as always, my co-host, the man who is the pulse of the Bills Mafia, the man who is here week after week with passionate, emotional, fired up Bills takes, Mr. Brian Chalk.
I'm ready to go, Rob. It's week one.
Week one.
I'm beyond excited for this season.
It is optimism central right now. Everybody's starting with a clean slate. All the things we talked about 2 weeks ago about our concerns about Sean McDermott and all that stuff, you can park all that for now, because the Bills will be kicking off the season this Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Arizona Cardinals. DraftKings currently has the Bills as a 6.5-point favorite. Let's start with that, Brian. Do you like that line? Do you think that's about right? The Cardinals are projected to be one of the weaker teams in the league again this year. This one, for anyone who does a survivor pool, week one is always scary. I've been eliminated in week one like twice in the last like 7 years. And the two games that jumped out to me, because you can see what everybody else picks, it's either people picking the Bills to beat the Cardinals or the Bengals to beat the Patriots. So how do you feel about the line and the Bills being such a favorite heading into Sunday's matchup?
I like the line. I actually have the Bills as a 9-point favorite based on my predictions for the game. So I think the line's also, it could be higher. And the over totals is exactly what I'm looking at in this game. So I'm really happy with how they're projecting this. I would like a 9-point line, but we'll get there. We got a lot of doubters to prove wrong.
Is there anything about the Arizona Cardinals that scares you? I think the scary thing about a team like this is it's week one, right? So they're coming in with the same sort of, they're not dejected yet. And I'll be honest and say the Arizona Cardinals are not a team that I follow all that closely. So like leading up to the pod, you kind of do a deep dive on who the opponent's going to be. And you got Kyler Murray, you got Marvin Harrison Jr., you got James Conner, you got Michael Wilson, you've got it's not like, I don't look at that and go, oh, this is no good. Like if Kyler Murray has a day, the Cardinals can win.
And we all saw it with the last time they played the Cardinals with the Hail Mary pass. So anything can really happen. But that being said, the Cardinals have a really, really bad defensive line.
They do.
They also have a really bad offensive line. So, I mean, Kyler Murray's great to handle that sort of pressure coming at him, but the defensive line, they were near the bottom of the league last year in QB pressures. So I'm expecting Josh Allen to have extended time in the pocket, and that should open up a lot in the passing game. I'm really hoping to see some strides, but going up against that defensive line, it's not that scary, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I do think this is a great opportunity for Josh Allen to get his season started on the right foot. Distribute the football, get the run game going, get his sort of run game going. I don't think we needed to be doing anything crazy in week one of the season, but, get outside the pocket, move and shake a little bit, take a hit. That's how he gets involved and starts feeling the game. So as I said off the top, you are the pulse of Bills Mafia on this podcast. So heading into this game and in this season, what are you watching for the most? How are you feeling? Give it to me. Give it to us.
So I'm expecting Josh, especially, to make good connections with Dalton Kincaid right away. I feel like in the first series, we're going to see him getting a check down pass or, a pass behind the line of scrimmage or something. But I want to see Dalton Kincaid in that mix early. Same with Khalil Shakir. I want to see him sort of have a breakout year. Like he's never passed 620 yards in his career. So, only 2 seasons, but I have him marked for 1,000 yards this year. So you really got to get that going in the first game. I think he's our wide receiver one. We got Mac Hollins, we got Curtis Samuel coming off a toe. I think Shakir needs to set the tone early. Him and Kincaid need to go off pretty hard.
How are you feeling about the defense? I saw a lot of talk on Twitter about the personnel on the defensive side of the ball, and that being a place of nervousness for fans. Like, how are you feeling?
Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Damar Hamlin's the starter.
Yes,
He's starting at safety. Let's just get right to that. I am not convinced he's going to keep that starting job. I want to, Mike Edwards is right behind him. Cole Bishop's also there. I don't really expect to see Cole Bishop a lot this season, but, he's a high draft pick. Mike Edwards is a solid safety. So, Sean McDermott, I think he's just giving a longer leash to Damar Hamlin. I get it. The guy came back from a horrific injury, but, between him and Taylor Rapp, it's tough. Like, Taylor Rapp is also not a proven stud. He's not on my top safeties in the league. So that's concerning. I do like our cornerback situation right now. We got Rasul Douglas, Christian Benford, and Teron Johnson. So that's really good. Also, linebacker position. I know we did lose Matt Milano, but we do have Terrell Bernard.
Yes.
This guy is no slub out there. He is one of the top linebackers in the league. And I'm very interested to see what Dorian Williams can do. He's getting a lot of touches this year. He's going to have to fill that Matt Milano role. So I'm curious about him. Greg Rousseau is in a contract year. He has been dominant throughout the preseason, throughout, training camp. I feel like this is going to be a 12-plus sack year for Greg Rousseau. So I'm very positive about the defense.
Is this a defense that opposing offensive coordinators will be looking to throw on? Because the weakness is the backside of the defense.
Yeah, the run game
looking to take the top off, as they say in football terminology.
I feel like you're going to get a lot of targets at Damar Hamlin's way. I feel like they're going to try to expose him early. Same with Christian Benford and Teron Johnson. I could see them on the corners getting a lot of work. I will imagine Rasul Douglas will be the least targeted cornerback out there. He's a game wrecker, as you know, being an old Green Bay Packers fan. That.
Oh, yes.
So I do think to see a heavy pass defense, but the Bills have historically been bad against the run. So that's something we have to see how it goes this year with this group. It's kind of the same group in the front, so we'll see.
I think, we're not going to make any bones about it on this podcast. I think you're in the weeds Bills fan, and I'm more high-level casual Bills fan. And I think that makes our dynamic interesting and makes the discussion interesting because we can bring two different perspectives. To me, this game, I just feel like the Bills fan base is just so tightly wound heading into this season. And this game could go one of two ways. If the Bills come out and do what they do, what they should do, which is be the better team, stomp the Cardinals, Allen has a big game, the defense stops Kyler. Even if the defense is so-so, but Allen and the offense go off, I think people are going to be happy. I don't think anybody's going to, you might come out of it and go, okay, we got some work to do on the defensive side of the ball, but Josh Allen looked like a stud. And that's all that matters with this Bills organization is what does Josh Allen look like and how effective is he? I know you rattled off some other offensive weapons, but at the end of the day, this fan base and this organization is going to live and die with Josh Allen. But if they struggle and the Cardinals are able to move the ball, even if the Bills come out with a W, but it's close, I still think it's not going to help how tightly wound this fan base is.
No, I agree. You have to really show the Cardinals what kind of offense this is. There's been a lot of talk, Josh Allen's overrated. Apparently, he's the most overrated QB in the league.
That is insane.
Ridiculous. I'm not sure who those 103 players were, but they're probably players that he's burned in the past. Was my only guess. But yeah. It really relies on Josh Allen. It also relies on the running game. we have been historically low with the running percentage per game. I look to see that be more even with the passing game. I could see it being 55%
Who's gonna
passing.
get more touches as the running back? Like who's the number one back?
So right now it's James Cook, and the depth chart. It's James Cook, Ty Johnson, Ray Davis.
Right.
In my opinion, Ray Davis is going to leapfrog Ty Johnson after the first game. He's going to be running back 2. I think this because he's got better ball security than James Cook, who's still going to be the first guy, but he also has better blocking and contact balance for what I've seen in the preseason. And he's also a short yardage back. James Cook is not a short yardage back. He needs to have distance to make his plays.
Right.
So in the red zone, Ray Davis would be our best chance of scoring. So I think that he has a chance to leapfrog to RB2 and maybe even RB1 by the end of the season, depending on how much playing time he gets. But it's really going to eat into James Cook. And unless James Cook can get his ball security under control, I don't see him keeping that job. So it's tough. James Cook will still be the guy, but Ray Davis is coming, baby.
Talk to me about the offensive line. How are you feeling about the offensive line?
I mean, right tackle, we have Spencer Brown coming back. Center, Connor McGruven. There were some sketchy snaps in preseason. I think he's got everything under control. We have a historic bad offensive line. There's no way around that. You saw Josh running for his life last year. There's been some good pieces added, and I've seen some good play, especially in preseason and practice. I'm going to be more optimistic this year. I think the guys have improved. There's more depth in this group too. There's a lot of young rookies that have come in and put pressure on some of these guys. So I think like Van Pan Granger, like he's a guy that could easily move up the list in the center talk. He could leapfrog Alec Anderson pretty quickly. So there's more pressure beneath these guys this year. We're bringing 10 offensive linemen to the season. So, there's room for adjustments. I'm just curious how they're going to come out.
Cedric Van Pran Granger.
What a name.
Is an all-time NFL handle.
What
incredible.
A name. His parents knew exactly what he was going to do. Be an offensive lineman.
I can't wait to hear Jimmy Nance talk about Cedric Van Pran Granger.
Also, Connor McGruven. That's a great football name.
That is a great football name. Just talk to me a little more about your vibes. Are you you said you're feeling good. You're feeling like, how are you really feeling? Like, are you going into this being like, this is a Super Bowl year for us? We're a Super Bowl contender. Do you feel that way? Because if you look around the AFC, let's take the Chiefs out of it. Okay, let's take the Chiefs out of it. We all know the Chiefs are the Chiefs. But if you look around the AFC, and we talked about this on our last episode a little bit. I mean, you got Lamar and the Ravens. You got Burrow and the Bengals. In the division, you got Rodgers and the Jets, who it's like so weird. Like some people, you say they are like, the Jets are a disaster. This is going to be a disaster. Then I have other people seeing online and watching ESPN that are picking them to go to the AFC Championship game, which I think is crazy. You've got Tua and the Dolphins. So if you stack up the young stud quarterbacks in the AFC, there's no doubt where Josh Allen lies on that list. He's second behind Patrick Mahomes. But is the rest of this roster enough to give you confidence that the Bills can go on a Super Bowl run this year?
I think yes, barring no massive injuries.
Yeah.
That could be the big derailment of this team. We've seen it all through preseason. This team is injury prone. We cannot escape that. But you make a good point. There's all these other teams that have now progressed further and further with these stud quarterbacks. Josh is not the only stud quarterback in the league. Joe Burrow is right behind him in my rankings, so he's very close. But Josh needs to have an MVP type season for them to even be considered Super Bowl contenders. And you're going to see it in the first 5-6 games. If they come out slow and sluggish like they have before, I wouldn't expect them to be contenders, but they come out firing, I think the media is going to change their tone.
There's one person on Sunday who I am going to be paying attention to more than Josh Allen, and that person is Joe Brady. What does the scheme look like? How much is he throwing? Are they using the run game to open up the pass game? Is he running the ball? Are they going with a back? Are they not running the ball at all and they're just letting him sling the rock all over the place? Like what is the strategy? Because we talked about this last week with Stephon Diggs now being out of the picture. It opens up a lot more options in terms of Allen's ability to distribute the football and just throw to the open man. And I really want to see that. It's week 1, okay? So if there's some drops, I'm not going to get too fussed about that. Like, obviously, it's frustrating. You want to win the game. I understand that. But if there's drops, if there's miscues, that's going to happen in week 1, especially with how little some of these guys play in the preseason in the modern day NFL. But is what they're trying to execute make sense? Does it look good? And is this something that with a few more reps in practice and as the weeks go on, they're going to be able to hit a stride on and this offense is going to become dangerous? That is what my number one thing that I'm watching for in this game on Sunday.
So everything that I've seen online and just looking through Bill stuff, it's kind of seeming like it's going to be 55% pass, 45% run. So, and I actually think they're going to establish the run
basically even.
Basically even. Last year, there was like a 60-40 split for pass and run. So I'm going to see it get much tighter this year. I think the first play of the game is a James Cook run up the middle. Mm-hmm. I can't see it going out of the way. You got to establish the run first, and it might even be 2 run plays in a row based on what Joe Brady's trying to do. And I wouldn't mind that. Just let's get the run game going. It really opens the pass game later when you establish the run. Old school football. Let's do it.
Yeah, 100%. So are you taking the Bills? If you were a gambling man, Brian, are you taking the Bills to cover? Do you like those odds?
Yes, my prediction for the game is the Bills 28, the Cardinals 17.
Okay, I like it.
I'm taking them to cover, and the over could hit, could not hit, but that's my score prediction for the game.
Before we get out of here, I just wanted to. We're huge NFL fans, and like we're gonna watch. This is what we do. Like obviously, this show that we're doing is a weekly show where we're gonna focus specifically on the Bills. But like you and I both are gonna watch as much football as we can this weekend.
Every game.
Yeah. Is there a couple of games that I wanted to highlight to you that I just thought were pretty interesting and get your thoughts on them really quickly, and then we'll get out of here. And this is something we'll do. We're going to do 2 episodes a week, release 2 episodes a week, one where we review the previous game and then another one where we tee up the following week. And during that, we'll just do a little sort of around the horn type situation where we talk about matchups that interest us. So I have a few that jumped out to me, and I'll name them, and you just give me your thoughts on them. So obviously we have the opening game, Chiefs and Ravens. I think the Chiefs are going to come out guns blazing. The Kansas City Chiefs terrify me this year. I do not agree with anyone who's like, I still see some people who are like, yeah, well, how motivated are you? It's like, no. Typically, I would agree. You've won 2 championships in a row. Motivation will be a factor. But this is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid we're talking about. They have history in their sights. They know it. And that's all the motivation they need to be like, we're going to be the team to win 3 in a row.
Rob, the Chiefs came out really slow last year.
They did.
They're also on another Super Bowl hangover, and you've seen the party pictures with, Kelsey and Mahomes are walking out with Morgan Wallen. They're doing all this stuff this summer. I think they might come out sluggish. I'm giving this game to the Ravens.
Really? See, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I don't trust, like Lamar in the past not played that well against Kansas City. So, I mean, it's week 1. I said off the top, like, this is the week of like fresh starts, whatever. So you might be right, but I don't know. I just haven't loved Lamar against the Chiefs in the past. So we'll see. And then in a stroke of absolute genius, we've got Friday night football as well with the Packers and the Eagles in Brazil. I'm about to blow your mind. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles to win this football game because I think the hype train for the Green Bay Packers is out of control. It's out of control. I think the Packers are a good team. I think they're a young team. I think they're a playoff team. But some of these people who are like picking them to go to the Super Bowl, like you're out of your mind. Like it's a offense full of kids. So I think the Packers get a hard dose of reality against the Eagles, who will be back looking to make a statement after they went out with a whimper in the playoffs last year against the Buccaneers. So I'm taking the Eagles to pick up that W in Brazil on Friday night.
I'm with you, man. Much like Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts has been dragged through the mud all offseason. So I feel like he's going to come out with something to prove.
100%. So we're not going to go through every game. I'm just going to pick out some ones that I think are interesting and let me know that if you agree. So you look at the 1:00 slate. Obviously, what jumps out to me first is the Bears and the Titans, only because you want to get a look at Caleb Williams and this Bears offense. The Bears were the team on Hard Knocks this year. Caleb Williams looked really good in the preseason. The hype for them has picked up a lot. They could be a playoff team. People think whatever. You just want to see like what does Caleb Williams look like at the NFL level.
And what's he going to look like versus a first team? Like he's been playing against second teams. Wouldn't it be hilarious if he just throws 4 picks in his first game?
It would be very Bears. It would be very Bears for that to happen. So I think that game is interesting just from like a Bears offense standpoint. The Titans are going to be brutal. They're going to be one of the weakest teams in the league this year, but just from a Bears standpoint. So that one stuck out to me. Another one that kind of sticks out to me in the 1:00 slate is the Falcons and the Steelers, because the Falcons are another one of these teams that the hype train has left the station, man. Oh my God. Like everyone is like, the Falcons are going to run away with this division, and they've completely loaded and changed their roster, and they're doing the thing where they've got Penix sitting behind Cousins, and they're doing it like the Packers did it with Rodgers and Love, and I'm very interested to see what the Atlanta Falcons look like after, like I said, the hype train has left the station with them.
I feel like they're not going to be a good team. Everybody is way hyping them up. Kyle Pitts apparently is also injured now. So he is the most cursed player in the world. So I wouldn't take the Falcons, honestly.
Interesting indeed. I don't know. The Steelers are the Steelers, man. We don't need to get into the Steelers, but like the whole thing.
There's a quarterback controversy there too.
Yeah. The whole Russ and Justin Fields. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, the Falcons are I just can't believe the hype around the Falcons. Then in the 4:00 window, obviously it's Cowboys and Browns, just because like the Cowboys offseason was so like tumultuous. It's like the CD Lamb situation. Dak still doesn't have a contract. It doesn't look like they want to give Dak a contract. I don't think there's a coach in the league that's on a hotter seat than Mike McCarthy. And they're the Dallas Cowboys. Plus, that game will be the game where Tom Brady makes his debut on commentary for Fox.
And Jerry Jones, man, this whole offseason, I feel like he's just getting more senile day by day.
Yes. If I'm the Cowboys, like just a quick side note on the Cowboys, I don't want to win this year.
No.
Like this is a year you got to like tank it and pick a kid high in the draft next year and start again. You sign CD, you've got a stud receiver, so your new rookie quarterback can have at his disposal next year.
Could you imagine Jerry Jones ever going for that? There's no chance.
Absolutely
He's not a rebuilding owner.
Absolutely not. What do you think of the Sunday Nighter is interesting because it's Rams, Lions, the history there with Jared Goff. I think the Rams are going to be one of the surprise teams of the league this year. I think they're a team that's going to be a contender in the NFC.
I actually have Matt Stafford. Like if Josh Allen doesn't win MVP, I think it could be Matt Stafford this year.
Yep. I think, the Niners have had a super tumultuous offseason, and I could see them coming back to earth a little bit. I could see Brock Purdy coming back to earth a little bit. And I could see the Rams kind of taking a step in that division. And I could totally see we get to January in the NFC Championship game, and one of those teams is the LA Rams. I totally could see that.
And I can also see the Lions taking sort of a regression this season.
Interesting.
I don't know why. It's just I feel like Dan Campbell, like I love him,
Mhm.
But I think after a couple, 3 seasons with him, the message might be a little. He's like he's got the same message all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And then obviously the Monday nighter, Jets at Niners. This game is so interesting because you've got, as I just said, the Niners are traditionally like they've been the class of the NFC the last few years. Super tumultuous offseason. Um, the vibes aren't great. Brock Purdy's Brock Purdy. And then you got the Jets where it's like, can Aaron Rodgers play more than 4 snaps? What's he going to look like? What's that offense going to look like? The Niners have absolutely owned. Take it from me. I watched it a lot. The Niners have absolutely owned Aaron Rodgers throughout his career. So this game is so interesting. I think if the Jets can win this game, that's a huge feather in their cap and to all the people who are hyping them up. But I also see a scenario where the Niners just run all over the Jets offensive line and Rodgers is running for his life. And Rodgers will have one of his games where he throws the ball away 50 times just to avoid getting hit.
I'm really fascinated to see how Rodgers plays this year. Full year off, 41 years old, coming off a pretty serious injury. I don't know how he's going to look. And the hype that they're getting is kind of blowing my mind. So we'll see.
100%. All right, buddy. Little around the league, little 5 minutes around the league. Love that. As I said earlier, Brian and I will be back for 2 separate episodes every week during the season. You can hit that like and subscribe button below to come on this journey with us. We're just going to have some fun and talk Bills football. We'd love you to be a part of it. We'll see you guys after Sunday.